That's the sound of an owl, isn't it? An owl that lives right here in Wellesley, right around our neighborhoods. Maybe you've heard it, but if you woke up in the middle of the night and out your bedroom window you heard do you know what kind of an owl it is? Does anybody know any owl names? What do you? Barn owl? That's a good guess. It's not a barn owl. Young man in the blue there. Snowy owl? That's a good guess. It's not a snowy owl. Young lady right there.
Barred owl?
Barred owl? It's not a barred owl. That's a very good guess.
I'll give you a big hint.
Next to you?
Here's the big hint. It's the owl on our banner.
It's not a screech owl. Yes. Oh, great.
You nailed it. Nice job.
Okay, my name is Marcia Wilson. I'm here with my husband, Mark Wilson, and this is the 4th time that we've been invited to your beautiful library. And we are having 2 shows, so thanks for coming to the first one.
Yeah, so thanks for coming out to the skunk show. This is the skunk show, right?
Wow.
Yeah, we brought 6 different skunks for you to meet tonight. I'm just kidding. It's the owl show, of course.
That'd be pretty wild, though, wouldn't it?
That would stink if it was a skunk show. Yeah.
But boys and girls, how many owls did we bring here tonight?
6.
6.
Yeah,
Right.
this one is empty. There's no bird in this one yet, but there will be. So we have 6 owls in here listening to us.
5.
Oh, actually, 5 owls and 1 mystery bird.
Right, we have a mystery bird tonight.
The mystery bird's not an owl.
Right.
Yeah.
So you'll have fun meeting that bird. But Mark and I are both bird watchers. I bet a lot of you have bird feeders at home. How many of you have bird feeders at home?
Oh, look at all the hands.
Yeah.
Well, did you know you might be indirectly attracting owls to your yard with a bird feeder? Because when you put out a bird feeder, some of the seed spills on the ground, and at night, mice in bowls and flying squirrels come in and eat the seed. Then who might come in and eat those animals? Owls, yeah.
Right, because do owls eat bird seed? Yeah.
You're never going to meet a vegan owl, I guarantee you.
They only
Never.
eat meat. And what do we call the meat eaters? Carnivores. Very good. Let's all say it. Carnivores. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about owls, but first we're going to read one of our favorite books about owls, Owl Babies. How many of you know Owl Babies? Raise your hand. Good. And you're going to help us read it in a really special part that I'm sure you have memorized. And then after we finish reading Owl Babies, I'll start to bring the owls out 1 by 1 or 2 by 2. And then part 3, it's a hooting lesson. We're going to teach you the calls, the hooting calls of the owls. Because you almost never get to see them, do you? Because owls usually come out at night, right? And what do we call nighttime creatures?
She just said it. Who said it?
Nocturnal, very
Nocturnal,
good.
yeah.
Right, and so if you know their voices, just like the little girl and her dad did in Owl Moon. Do any of you know Owl Moon? Yeah. The little girl and her dad heard that back in the woods. They copied the sound, and before long the owl was answering them in its own voice. So
And you can do the same thing. You can go out and go owling and hoot to an owl and get it to answer you.
Great.
And we'll teach you how.
Okay, so Mark's going to be our book holder.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you going to
I'm
stand,
going to
Mark?
tuck right in here.
Okay. Very good. Once there were 3 baby owls, Sarah and Percy and Bill. They lived in a hole in the trunk of a tree with their owl mother. The hole had leaves and twigs and owl feathers in it. It was their house. One night, though, they woke up and their owl was gone. Where's Mommy? asked Sarah. Oh my goodness, said Percy. I want my mommy, said Bill. You know, that's what little Bill always says, doesn't he? And so when I get to that part, he's going to keep saying it. When I get to that part, I want you to help me say, I want my mommy, said Bill. And so I'll point to you like this. And I want you to help me say that. So let's practice. Here we go. I want my mommy, said Bill.
pretty good, but I think we need to have a little more fun because, we're on school break.
Oh.
If we all said it with a whiny voice, I think it would be a lot more fun. So when Marcia gives you the signal, let's try saying it with a whiny voice. You ready?
We know how to do that.
All right.
Okay, wait for the signal. I want my mommy, said Bill. Okay, yeah. He's the little guy. He doesn't know why she kept going out at night. Well, the baby owl sat and thought, since all owls think a lot, I think she's gone hunting, said Sarah. To get us our food, said Percy. I want my mommy, said Bill. Well, their owl mother didn't come. The baby owls came out of their house and sat on the branch and waited. A big branch for Sarah, a small branch for Percy, and an old piece of ivy down there for Bill. Oh, she'll be back, said Sarah. Back soon, said Percy. I want my mommy, said Bill. There he is, down on this old piece of ivy. Oh, but it was dark in the woods, and they had to be brave, for things moved all around them. She'll bring us mice and things that are nice, said Sarah. I suppose so, said Percy. I want my mommy, said Bill. Well, they sat and they thought, since all owls think a lot, I think maybe we should all sit over on my branch, said Sarah. And so they did, all three together. Suppose she got lost, said Sarah, or a fox got her, said Percy. I want my mommy, said Bill. And so the baby owls closed their owl eyes and wished their owl mother would come. And she came. Soft and silent, she swooped through the trees all the way back to Sarah and Percy and Bill. And there they are, waiting for her. Do you think they could hear her coming? No, because owls don't make any sound when they fly, do they? Mommy, Mommy, they cried, and they flapped and they danced and they bounced up and down on that branch. Who was the happiest of all to see her? Oh, little Bill, he almost jumped out of his feathers. Just kidding. He was excited, but so was she. She was glad to see them. Ooh, 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 ooh. What's all the fuss there, Owl Mother asked. You knew I'd be back. Ooh. Sound familiar, perhaps? Well, the baby owl sat and thought, since all owls think a lot. I knew it, said Sarah, and I knew it, said Percy. I love my mommy, said Bill. So of course she came back, bringing mice and things that are nice. Are you ready to meet the owls? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to hold the owls with my bare hands because, after all, they have very sharp claws called talons. Right. And Mark, are the owls our pets?
No, actually, you can't have any wildlife as a pet in this country. It's against the law. So the reason we can keep these owls, all of them have either an injury or a disability that prevents them from surviving on their own. And we have to have special permits from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and from Mass Wildlife and from other states that we go into to keep these birds. We're their caretakers. And along with those permits comes some rules that we have to follow, which would include what?
Well, we can't let any of you touch or hold the owls. I'll get you nice and close as I walk across the front and down to the end of our tarp here. They're going to be perched on my hand, and they're going to be attached to my belt so they can't get away. They're not going to land on your heads or your laps.
As much as you might like that, right?
And remember, they all have a reason that they can't take care of themselves in the wild, so we'll tell you their stories. And we'll also tell you how their kind lives in the wild. And then there's a really good reason we have these tarps on the floor. Who knows what they're for? Whitewash. And what's whitewash?
Polite name for what?
A polite name for bird poop. Right.
So that's why you don't want to sit on the brown mat, because that's where the owls are going to poop. And I guarantee you they will poop tonight. It's not if, it's when.
And I'm not going to be able to clean it up because I'm going to have owls on my hands. So Mark,
I guess that means I'm cleaning it up.
That leaves you.
Ooh,
so
okay.
here are his tools.
So my job title is Whitewash Patrol.
Now, let's thank Mark for once again doing Whitewash Patrol by giving him a flap. Let's give him a flap.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Standing by.
Clapping. At Eyes on Owls programs, boys and girls, we flap instead of clap because how do owls feel when they hear loud noises? How do you think they feel? Scared, right. And so, does this make any sound? No, so it's a great way to say thank you.
Okay.
But wait a minute, we might need you for something else too, because we fed the owls last night. What did we feed them? Mice.
Mice,
Yes,
yeah.
we have big freezers full of mice.
Don't you? No? How come you're looking at us weird? Yeah, I mean, hey, when you have owls, you got to have mice for food, and we don't feed live mice. We buy our mice, they come to us frozen. The FedEx truck pulls up about once every month and drops off a big load of frozen mice. We actually spend $1,000 a month on mice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call it the mouse mortgage, and it never gets paid off.
So they eat mice, and then about 12 hours after they eat, they have to cough up those weird blobs. What are they called?
What are they called?
Pellets, right.
Yeah.
How many of you have taken apart owl pellets? Maybe in
Anybody?
school or at camp?
Well, I noticed quite a few hands.
Quite a few hands.
But there's a lot of you that didn't raise your hand. If you've never taken apart an owl pellet, put that on your bucket list. It's a fun thing to do. And inside a pellet, you're going to find all the bones and fur or feathers from the animal that the owl ate, and you can figure out what animal that was. It might be a shrew, a bat, a bug of some kind. It could be a salamander, could be a frog, could be a mouse. So they eat a lot of different things. And you can find those bones and feathers and fur in that pellet when you take it apart.
Yeah.
If we're really lucky tonight, we might even see an owl cough up a pellet in front of you.
It has happened here.
Yeah, pellets come out of the mouth. They don't come out of the rear end like whitewash does. So if you see an owl start to yawn, it's not sleepy, it's getting ready to cough up a pellet right in front of you. And if that happens, you should go out and play the lottery because it's your lucky night. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
guess what I've got? Not only do I have a little gray screech owl, but
Oh,
I
that's a
have
tiny pellet.
It's a fresh pellet. It was sitting right on
This is a super tiny pellet. Usually they're bigger than this.
the screech owl's perch.
What color was the mouse, by the way? Think it was a brown mouse? What color is this pellet? It's kind of yellowish white, right?
Yeah.
The mouse was white. Yeah, so if I took this apart, there's probably just fur in here. I don't think there's many bones in here.
That's pretty tiny.
It's a tiny
that
pellet.
might not be all of it.
That's a partial pellet.
Yeah. Now, this is an eastern screech owl, and screech owls don't screech. Surprise! They make a really nice little whinnying sound. Who would like to come up and help us with that sound? We need somebody to help us practice. How about young man in the back row there?
Come on
up.
All right. You can stand right in front of Marcia, or right next to her. And what is your name?
Matthew Schumer.
What's your first name?
Matthew.
Matthew. Okay, Matthew. Have you ever heard a screech owl?
Yes.
Oh.
You ever called back to one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you're an old pro at this.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, Marcia will do the call, and then you can try it. Okay, Matthew? All right, here we go. One more time.
All right.
How about
Nice
a wing clap for Matthew?
Yeah.
Excellent job.
Yeah. We don't often get people that have actually heard screech owls.
By the way, this is the most common owl in Wellesley, but I bet fewer than 5% of you have seen one. How many people have ever seen a screech owl in Wellesley? Very few hands. I see 1, 2, 3 hands.
How about somewhere else? In a hole in a
They're
tree.
hard to find
Like from
because
Auburn Cemetery?
they come out at night, right? And they're little, they're camouflaged, and they hide in holes in trees. So they're tricky to find, particularly during the day.
Wow.
Oh, a mystery bird.
Wait a minute. Is this an owl? No. What is it? It's a mystery bird, right? That's not the name of it, though. We call it a mystery bird because we want you to guess what kind of bird it is. And
Anybody have an idea? What do you think? Kestrel, you're exactly right. She's called it an American kestrel. This is our smallest falcon. And it's a bird that eats the same things as an owl, eats mice and insects. But look at the shape. The kestrel has a little head on a big body. The owl has a big head on a big body. So the shape of hawks, like kestrels, are different than owls. Owls have big heads and big bodies, and that's how you can tell if a bird is an owl. If it has a big head on a big body, and it stands straight up and down, you're looking at an owl. The kestrel kind of stands horizontal, right? So you can tell it looks different. It's not an owl.
Yeah, and the eyes are different, aren't they? The kestrel has eyes on the side of its head, whereas the owl has eyes on the front.
Now, Marcia, I noticed this screech owl is missing an eye.
Yes, she is. She or he. It was hit by a car 6 years ago and rescued by somebody and brought to an animal hospital, and they had to do an operation to take out her eye because when she got hit, it probably damaged the eye.
So she'd have trouble hunting with one eye. Your depth perception wouldn't be so good. Now, how much do you think a screech owl would weigh? How much do you think that screech owl weighs? Any guesses? How much do you think?
1 pound.
1 pound is an excellent guess, but it's too much. So it's less than a pound. What's less than a pound? How much do you think? How much would you say? Half a pound. You're exactly right. The screech owl weighs about half a pound. And the screech owl just dropped some whitewash, so if you'll excuse me, I got some work to do.
Oh, yes, you do. Now, kestrels and screech owls live in the same kind of habitat. They live in holes and trees. Did she step in it? No. And the thing is, kestrels come out during the daytime. They hunt during the daytime, and this time of night they're asleep in their holes in the trees. And then the owls come out and they hunt for the same things. Now, does anybody have any questions or comments?
We have a question here.
What if they come out in the winter?
Well, screech owls are here year-round, so yes, they could come out in the winter. Kestrels migrate, and we don't usually see them here in the winter. It's a rare bird in Wellesley in the winter, but you might see one if you're really lucky.
Why is that? Can they not take the cold?
Yeah, I think they don't like the cold weather, so they get out of town. Yeah. Question here.
Do they come out in all seasons?
Screech owls do, yeah. All seasons, you can see them. They're here year-round. You have a question over here.
Do owls hibernate?
Great question. In fact, no bird hibernates. Only mammals hibernate. So there are no birds that hibernate. There's 1 or 2 birds that can kind of go into a torpor, like a suspended state of animation, but it's not during cold weather. It's during actually the heat of summer.
Mark, I'm going to ask you a favor. Mark has a beautiful photograph of a peregrine falcon over
Well,
here.
I wanted to show them the red screech owl.
Oh,
Because
okay.
screech owls come in 2 colors.
True, and then we'll look at the peregrine. It looks a lot.
This is also a screech owl. So they come in red and gray. And they're the same kind of owl. So one is cinnamon and one is bark flavored.
Yeah, here's the cinnamon color on the cover of that book there. And then sometimes when we bring out the kestrel, people say, oh, peregrine falcon.
Well, here is a peregrine falcon.
It looks like a peregrine falcon, but it's teeny tiny. In fact, that picture of the peregrine is about
About a quarter life size.
kestrel size.
Yeah.
But see the vertical markings on the cheeks? Yeah.
The mustache.
Yeah, so they're related to peregrine.
Yeah. Well, the kestrel can hover, unlike the screech owl. So kestrels sometimes hunt grasshoppers. You see them over a field just hovering in one spot, and suddenly they'll drop down and get a grasshopper. So that's what they get their insects. We have a question here.
Where do owls usually live? They live in hollows, or can they live other places other than hollows?
Sure, yeah, the big owls don't usually live in hollow trees, but screech owls, they could be eaten by the big owls, so they're good at hiding. They like to hide in things like hollow trees.
Or like birdhouses.
Yeah.
We brought a birdhouse for screech owls. You could always also use it for kestrels, seeing as how they like the same size hole. And I'm not sure if this particular screech owl will want to look out, although, yeah, it's kind of looking out.
Really like it.
No, but anyway, sometimes they sit in the hole. And before I put this one back in its carrying box, you can see the little tiny ear tufts. Are those really ears? No. Point to us on your own heads and show us where the ear holes on birds are.
Right behind your eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be able to talk more about that with the next owl.
All right, I'm going to take another question because I see lots of hands. Yes. Let's get you on the mic.
Do snowy owls go in Florida?
3 years ago, one showed up in Florida and another one showed up in Bermuda. But that is super rare. That's not usual. But 3 years ago, we had tons of snowy owls come through New England. At Logan Airport in Boston, they trapped and removed 120 snowy owls 3 winters ago. It was a record year. But normally they don't get to Florida. But it does happen on extremely rare occasions. Okay, this next owl is probably the second most common owl in Wellesley. This is, that's okay, this is the barred owl. And you got a cord behind you here, so don't trip. The barred owl is a bigger owl, so that means the pellets are bigger. And I can see bones in this one. There we got whitewash, as promised, right?
Yeah. So she's a big, beautiful owl, isn't she? And the barred owl looks a lot like the mommy owl in owl babies, doesn't she? She has a big round head. She has big, what color eyes? What color? Black, yes. And she has the voice of the mommy owl in owl babies. She says, ooh, 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 ooh. So that's what this owl sounds like. Who would like to come down and help us with that call? How about young man in the green there?
Come on up. Okay. You can stand right over here next to Marcia. And tell us your first name.
Sean.
Sean, have you ever heard of barred owls?
No.
Okay, well I bet you have them living near you. So it's a good owl to learn to call up. If you think you have monkeys living in the woods behind your house, it's not monkeys, it's barred owls, because they sound like monkeys sometimes.
Yeah.
So Marcia will do the call again, Sean, and then you can try it, okay?
And I want you to memorize the words, hookups for you, hookups for you all, because it matches so hookups for you, hookups for you all. So I'll do the owl's call, and you can do it. Excellent. And you're not done yet because sometimes they just do the last part. They'll go, hoo-ah,
Hoo-ah.
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 All right,
Big wing
nice
clap for
wing
Sean.
clap.
Excellent
Great.
job. So tonight you can go home and practice that call outside.
Yes.
See if you can call in a barred owl.
Or just stick your head out the window.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe he has never heard of barred owl.
He's good at it.
Yeah.
It's a good imitation.
Well, the barred owl does not have those feather tufts up on top of the head that we call horns or ears. As a matter of fact, I've got my finger in her real ear. Right now, I've got my finger in her right ear. There's a little ticklish there.
Marcia, I noticed they have circles around their eyes.
They do.
What are those called?
Those are called facial discs, and those actually help the owl hear. Since the ear is right behind their eyeballs, they act like a little funnel. And you can pretend that you're hearing like an owl too with a simple
this.
experiment.
Take your hands, hold them up like you're catching something, so cup your hands, then put them behind your ears, and then point your nose at me,
And you'll see that you have very good hearing when you're pointing your nose at me. And then try pointing your nose away from me, you have good directional hearing. You don't hear me as much when you point it away, and when you come back to me again, you have very good hearing. And those facial discs help the owl hear. It's pretty amazing. You can't see their ears, they're hidden. Yeah.
Right.
Now, this is an owl that gets its name from those feathers on its chest. Those are bars. Vertical feathers are stripes. So bars and stripes. Now you might notice this owl's missing something. What's she missing? Okay, hold on to your question. Yeah, she's missing a wing, you're right.
Right.
So, can she fly? No. Will she grow the wing back?
No.
Unfortunately not. Some animals can grow back parts, and I bet you can think of one that can. Lizard. What else? Starfish. What else? You were going to say starfish? What were you going to say? What kind? Octopus, yeah. Any others? What can grow back apart? We got starfish, lizard, octopus. Can you think of another one? Do you know?
Octopus.
Octopus, yeah, that's a favorite. Yeah. Any others? What can grow back apart? How about an earthworm? Well, snakes, yeah, they shed their skin, so that's, I guess we could call that, yeah. What else? Newts, yeah, what do they grow back?
Their arms.
Yeah, arms or tail, yeah. What's another? Salamanders, which is kind of like a newt, yeah. Yeah, so you know a lot of animals that can grow back parts, but owls can't do that. They can't grow back a wing or a leg.
Right.
Yes.
Worms.
Yeah, earthworm and one more.
I have a question.
Okay, go for it.
Where do owls sleep?
Well, they sleep usually in trees, and usually in a thick tree so you can't see them. They like to hide, so they're camouflaged. They usually up near the trunk of the tree.
Camouflage.
Yeah, what would that owl be camouflaged with in the forest? What part of the forest would be kind of brown colored?
A tree.
What part of the tree?
The bark.
Exactly. They really blend in well with tree bark. So that's why they're so hard to find when they're sleeping. They just sit very still in a thick, dense tree up near the bark. You might walk right past that tree and never see the owl.
Now, in the wintertime, here in Wellesley and the surrounding towns, you might see a barred owl in a park or a cemetery or a big old tree, because sometimes they come into places closer to people.
Well,
where it's
even
a
in the
little bit-
cities.
Right, even in the
My
in the cities.
favorite barred owl sighting happened one year around Christmas. I was in at Faneuil Hall looking at the Christmas tree, and I looked up, and there's a barred owl living in the Christmas tree at Faneuil Hall. And at about 5 o'clock every night, this barred owl would come awake, and he'd jump up into the higher branches of the tree and pull out his pigeon that he had killed a few days earlier, and he'd start ripping it apart, and all these people with their shopping bags would be sitting there like, watching this owl rip apart the pigeon. And he lived at Faneuil Hall for 2 weeks. And then he moved over to Mayor Curley, the statue, and lived above Mayor Curley for about a week. And he was eating rats and pigeons, and there's a lot of rats at Faneuil Hall, so he was getting a lot to eat. So you can see them in the city in the winter, like Cambridge, Boston. Here in Wellesley, they probably nest here, so you can see them year-round, not just winter. Any other questions as we're moving along? Yes, in the way back. When do owls hoot and why? They usually hoot at night, although barred owls can hoot anytime, and that's how they communicate. So that's how they're talking to each other, by hooting. And that's how they talk to their mate, how they set up their territories. Although this is an owl that doesn't hoot. This owl hisses.
Yeah, but look what she's doing right now.
Look like she's dancing.
Yeah, let's do
Can you all
that.
do the barn owl dance?
Yeah, let's greet her.
She's moving her head, her eyes, and her ears to listen to you. She loves you. She's checking you all out,
She's doing the barn owl rock.
checking out the room.
Yep. And barn owls live in either holes in trees sometimes, or caves, or in buildings like
Old
barns.
buildings, yeah.
And if you walk into an old building and up above you you hear says shh. Try that.
That's a barn owl. So it's not a hoot, it's a hiss.
Right.
They also make a scream and a screech, but we're not going to do those noises because they're kind of irritating. But if you picture, wow, that's a lot of whitewash. If you picture screeching rubber tires on pavement, that's what a barn owl can sound like. So it's an unpleasant noise.
Now, the barn owl is a familiar sight all over the world because they're found on 6 continents, except for Antarctica, of course. And so they're found in warmer climates. They're not so much found here in New England, but once you get south of New England, I bet a lot of you go to California perhaps, or Florida, or some of the warmer states, you may see barn owls. Yes? What's her disability? She was hatched in a zoo. And we adopted her when she was only 10 days old, and we raised her. So she's been around us for most of her life. Her parents still live in the zoo. She's 8 years old, and she really doesn't know how to take care of herself out in the wild.
Because she was raised by people.
Right.
We call that imprinted.
Right, that's the name. Don't
So
walk under the owl.
Yeah.
Not this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, think of it this way. When this owl looks at you, she might either think you're an owl or she's a person. She's kind of raised by people, so she doesn't look at the world the same way that a wild owl would. Yeah. Now, this is one of the few owls we can tell the boys from the girls, just by looking. If you look at her chest, you see how it's gold colored? Only the girls have that gold. If this was a boy or a male, it would be white, no gold. So an easy way to remember that is girls have the gold. Yeah.
But look at how skinny she is. She's not dressed for cold weather like here in New England, is she? And she's got bare feet. And what shape is her face?
What do you think?
What does that remind you of?
Think Valentine's Day.
A heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, heart-shaped face.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. So,
Now, she eats a lot of rats and mice. Now, once in a while, some of us will get a rat or a mouse in the house that we need to get rid of. Some people put up poison for rats and mice. Unfortunately, if you poison a mouse, it doesn't die right away. It may go outside, walk around, and make an easy meal for a hawk or an owl. And if a hawk or an owl eats a poisoned mouse, they're going to get poisoned too and die. So if you have a mouse or a rat you need to get rid of, don't use poison. Use a good old-fashioned snap trap, a mouse trap or a rat trap. And you can bait it with peanut butter, and it works really well, and you don't end up killing foxes or coyotes or hawks and owls. And that's the way you can get rid of a rat or a mouse without poisoning other animals. Yeah, we have a question over there. Yes, let's get you on the mic. Question?
Do owls eat some other foods?
Other than mice and rats, you mean? Yeah, they can eat some other things, although this owl eats mostly mice and rats, but other owls will eat small birds or frogs or salamanders or earthworms. Crickets.
Grasshoppers.
Yeah. Question here.
Some owls are mean.
Owls, they look mean, but they're not actually mean. Yeah, owls don't really have a friendly face, do they? No, it's kind of the look of a predator.
Yeah, but they're not going to hurt you.
Where do they sleep?
They sleep in trees usually. Although barn owls sometimes sleep in barns. Yeah, or caves. Yeah. I don't think I'd want to sleep in a cave.
You have an owl shirt.
I do, yeah. Yeah, thank you for noticing, yeah. Yeah. You can see how many kinds of owls are on it. All right, question here.
It's too cold.
What a snowy owl.
Go ahead. What's your question on snowy owls?
Why is a snowy owl called a snowy owl?
Do you have any ideas maybe why it would be?
Maybe it's in the snow.
And what color is it partly? White. Yeah, so I think it's a good name, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to call it a coal owl because it's not all black. So I think snowy owl is a good name for that bird.
Wow, this next owl has a good name. It's going to blast out of here. Yeah. He's a big great horned owl. And the great horned owl not only does a lot of whitewash, but they have a big, what we call a horn on each side of the head, and big black and yellow eyes. He kind of looks like the great horned owl on our banner, don't you think? Same shape? Yeah, so the great horned owl lives right here in Wellesley. I bet there's a great horned owl within a half a mile of here. And they've got a 4-foot wing spread and a 4-note voice. They go, hoo, 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 hoo. Try that. And then maybe back in the woods you might hear a higher one. Hoo, 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 hoo. Try that. And then maybe the lower one would answer back. Hoo, 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 hoo. Go ahead. All right, give yourselves a wing flap.
Excellent job.
Young man in the third row, did you have a question? Yeah. His disability is he can't fly perfectly. When he was a baby in a nest in the Blue Hills Reservation,
In Milton.
yep, near Trailside Museum, he fell out of his nest. And he broke his right wing. The people at Trailside Museum bandaged
Well,
him.
actually, someone found him in the woods
Yeah.
before they bandaged him up.
Right.
Luckily, a ranger found him. And then, Marcia, what happened?
Well, then the wing healed, and they gave him a flight test, and it didn't turn out too well. It turns out that he can't fly well enough to be able to hunt.
So he
that's-
didn't pass his flight test.
Right, that's when we got to adopt him. He's now 9 years old. We've had him most of that time. And great horned owls around here can live into their teens or 20s, though. Do you think that they have any natural predators? Do you think they have any natural predators?
Who would eat a great horned owl? Who do you think? What do you think? You say raccoon? A raccoon might eat a baby, but an adult great horned owl might actually eat the raccoon. Yeah. Yeah, so baby great horned owls are more vulnerable. They could get eaten by a fox or a raccoon if they were on the ground. But they're at the top of the food chain. They're at the apex predators, so not many things would prey on a great horned owl adult.
Yeah, besides, look at the size of his feet and his toes.
He could squeeze stronger than a person. His feet can squeeze with over 500 pounds pressure per square inch. A strong human can do about 150 pounds.
Right.
So he can outsqueeze a person.
And look at his feet. Is that fur or feathers on his toes?
What do you think?
Wait a minute. Do birds have fur? No. Sure looks like fur, but it's feathers. Really specialized feathers.
I'm going to take a question here.
What's wrong with his eye?
Yeah, he's closing his eye. He has an eye under there, but what happened recently this summer, he lost the ability to close his upper eyelid. It stopped working. So now, when he gets tired, he raises his lower eyelid up. And so right now, his eye either got dry or maybe he's got some dust in it. He raised his lower eyelid up. Now, he went to an ophthalmologist, which is an eye doctor. Actually, a team of ophthalmologists checked him out at the Tufts University Veterinary School. They don't know what's going on. We think it's a neurological problem, something going on with his eyelid nerves, but we don't know why he can't close that upper eyelid. He can't blink it down.
Yeah.
Maybe when he fell out of his nest 9 years ago, it caused, an issue that is just coming to be noticed now. That's a great question. We're not sure of the answer, though. Question here.
What's wrong with his whole eye on this side?
On this side, I think the eye is okay. Yeah, I think he's got his eye on this side is, he can blink both eyelids. By the way, how many eyelids does an owl have on each eye? How many? 3. Yeah, they have an upper eyelid, a lower eyelid, and then a third eyelid that comes across like a windshield wiper called a nictitating membrane. Nictitating membrane.
Well, owls are found all over the world except for Antarctica. And there are about 225 kinds of owls
You ready to see a giant owl?
from another part of the world.
She's really big.
This is a Eurasian eagle owl.
eagle owl. And she's quite large.
When we say large, we mean large. And she does have ear tufts.
So we'll get her ear plumes up.
She'll let me put them up. They're tall and skinny, so they're actually known as plumes. There we are. And she has about a 5-foot wingspan. And she's related to the great horned owl, except what color eyes do the great horned owl have? Black and
Yellow.
yellow, right.
What color are her eyes?
Right,
Orange and black.
right. And she has a really funny voice. She says, "Whoo." Right there. Whoo. Yeah.
So there really is an owl that says who?
A lot of people, they think all owls say who. Well, they don't. But Eurasian eagle owls do. And this owl is 8 years old. She also hatched in a zoo. And we expect to have her into her 50s or 60s.
She'll probably outlive me. So she's in the will. Yeah.
They all are.
How much do you think she weighs? Any guesses? How much do you think? She knows? Want to take a guess? All right. How much do you think she weighs?
2
2 what?
pounds.
2 pounds is too low. She's more than 2. What do you think in the back? 4 is too low. What do you think? 7 is too low. What do you think? Well, wait a minute. 6 is going the wrong direction. Go high. What's more than 7?
8.
8 is too low. What do you think? 12, she's about 10.5 pounds. Yeah, now at home we have a male, he only weighs 4.5. So huge difference between the sexes in weight. And usually with owls, the bigger one is the female. Females weigh more, they're bigger, they're stronger. So if you see a pair of eagles, a pair of owls, a pair of hawks, you see a size difference, the larger one is usually the female. Now she can take down some big prey. She can take down a fawn, a badger, a hare, so they can eat some large animals.
And what countries are they found in, Mark?
Well, they're found in Europe. Can anybody name me a country in Europe? What's a country in Europe?
England.
England. Now, England is in Europe, but it's one of the few countries where these guys aren't found. But you're right, England is in Europe. What's another one? Italy, they're found there. What's another one? Portugal, they're found there. France. Lithuania, wow, that's a cool country. Yeah, they're found there.
And they're found in Asia.
What's another European country? Switzerland. How about an Asian country? What's a country in Asia? What's a country in Asia? China, they're found there. What's another one? Vietnam. I think they're found in Vietnam. I'd have to double check that, but it is in Asia. What's another one? Japan, they're found there. Cambodia, maybe. Yeah, I think they're found there. Russia, they're found big time in Russia. Thailand, and yeah, in the Southeast Asian countries, I'd have to check the range. I don't know how far they get into the warm Southeast Asia countries. But they're a big owl, and this owl is tied to be the biggest owl in the world in terms of how their wingspan and their weight.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, you've been a wonderful audience. We are going to donate 2 of Mark's photos to the library. And so you'll probably see them up in the children's department.
But you're welcome to come up and peruse the Owl Gallery. These are all pictures that were taken in the last couple years. They are available for sale, and all proceeds go to the Mouse Fund. Yeah, to the mouse budget.
But thanks for coming out, and go home and hoot, right? Yeah.
Thank you.